For joining us. We're now on to the second leg of TVC Breakfast this Tuesday, and our attention is now on the aviation sector. Well, news says the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria and the Office of the National Security Advisor have both concluded plans to reduce the number of military and paramilitary personnel at Nigeria's international airports who have physical contact with passengers, baggage multiple times, which observers have said constitute delays and numerous inconveniences to travelers passing through the airports. Now, over the years, complaints have increased over these multiple checkpoints of passengers' belongings carried out by the many security agencies who mount checkpoints inside the terminals of international airports. Joining us via Zoom now is the General Secretary Aviation Roundtable, Olumide Onwayo. Thank you for joining us. We also have via Zoom still the CEO, Centurion Securities, retired Group Captain John Ojikutu. Thank you, both gentlemen, for joining us at this time. Let's begin with the retired Group Captain Ojikutu. So what are your thoughts on this move? The government say they are aware of the several complaints of, Nigerians and airport users who have said these multiple security checks are basically unnecessary and now have come up with this move to reduce the checkpoints.
Good morning. Number one, there is nothing wrong with reducing number of security.
I'm sorry, Group Captain. Group Captain. Let's put you on hold. We're having some issues with your audio. Let's try and check it out and get better. In the meantime, let's quickly move to Mr. Onwayo to help address this question. Did you get the question, Olumide Onwayo? Yes. So what do you make of this? First, the complaints. Well, the government says it has heard all the complaints and now has taken it upon itself to reduce the number of multiple security checkpoints by all these diverse security agencies. What are your thoughts?
Well, good morning once again, and it's commendable. But there's no euphoria for us at the Aviation Roundtable about that decision, because it started in 1991 under the General Ibrahim Babangida. He asked the Vice Admiral, late Vice Admiral Ekomu, to chair the committee to reduce the number of security personnel at the airport. That committee met, it worked well for some time. After some time, they returned back to status quo. Again, on that, the immediate past government of President Buhari, they brought an executive order 001. That executive order made the vice president to chair that same another committee to remove that committee to reduce the security checkpoints and to work in line with their ease of doing business project. That committee worked, and within 6-7 months, they returned to the whole program and the whole arrangement. Now, we have had another one. I just hope this time around we would get something straight. But then there are those who have the fear that why are they sending the National Security Advisor? Why not the presidency? Because all these agencies have their own heads, and because they have the separate head of organizations, they will report directly to the president. Well, they might not take decisions seriously except to get managed from the presidency. So that's one of my fears. But it's a good decision, and I hope it works well this time around. And not only work, I think sustaining.
When you say you hope it works well, are you rather not overly optimistic, with this advocacy for us for the reduction of the security personnel who are the airports? Are you saying that, or how would you juxtapose it when we have all of the security personnel at the airport as against not having all of them at the airport, or probably they all are crammed in one certain room where they'll be monitoring it, using the computers and all of that? Which one would you rather consider more effective?
Now, if you listen to me very well, I went to the historical perspective, and that's where my fear is. It's supported. We need the ease of travel. We need passenger facilitation at the airport to be quicker, like it's obtained in other airports. And for you to be quicker, you need to reduce those security checkpoints. You need to improve technology, use more technology for your security rather than physical points that are embarrassing and slows down the process of facilitation and also discourage passengers from traveling. You see, most Nigerian problems are prefer to land in Abuja than in Lagos. Yet Abuja has not met the world standard on facilitation. So it's something I support. It's supporting my group support, and we look forward to the quick implementation of that process. Again, like you said, it's security is more technology driven than physical presence. And I think that is the area we need to work on. Again, harmonization of those security bodies into one, the security organizations at the airport, into one body, just like the US have it, the Transportation Safety Administration. That's in charge of the security at the US airport. It's something we look forward to, and I think that can also happen in Nigeria. We did a program sometime 2022, October, asking the government to implement, replicate what we have in America at the airports. That is because embarrassing. And even if you go to the Lagos airport now, right at the point of dropping passengers, you see policemen, you see civil defense all hanging around there, saying good morning, how is your weekend? So this is not good for us, and we support this process. And I just hope this time around it will be enduring and not just something that will last for 6 or 7 months.
Okay, let's put you on hold, Mr. Onwayo, and retired Group Captain John Ojikutu. Well, thank you for hanging on, and we hope for a much better audio output from your end. I don't know if you listened to Olumide Onwayo, who said that this, therapy or intervention from government has happened before, but it wasn't long-lasting, and that he's hoping that this time around, with this government's, move, it can be long-lasting, and we can confirm with what obtains in terms of adequate security in the airports, with what obtains in other climes. What are your thoughts?
I don't want to be a completely part of what Omar said. Actually, the issue of the multiple agencies started when I was speaking. We had a meeting at the Donbass, chaired by the Vice President. Actually, everybody was there. All the agencies that transport, SS, all of them. A decision was taken at that time of how to reduce the number from 6 to.
I'm sorry, Group Captain John Ojikutu, we are still having some difficulties in hearing you well, and we hope that we will try to reconnect with you and get a much better audio output. We apologize, Group Captain, and to our viewers as well. But let's go back to Olumide Onwayo. So recently the Civil Aviation Organization on the global scale also released its report following the audit done on Nigeria's airports, and it scored Nigeria high, basically. Despite your concerns about the multiple security checkpoints and how it's an anomaly, when you look at how it's or what obtains elsewhere, what's the impact of this evaluation by the ICAO?
Well, the ICAO audit is more of the operational aspect of the airport. What we're discussing actually is facilitation and how multiple layers of security is hindering facilitation and not encouraging travel. But the ICAO audit was splendid. Though we had some hiccups in the beginning. We had some gaps, and those gaps were given about 3 months to clear those gaps. And by the time they came back to do the second audit, we passed, and that was encouraging. Also, we also have the Federal Airport Authority Category 1 certification given by the American agency administration there. And that certification is very rare. We're among the few countries in Africa that have the certification, and that's why we're not happy with the position of the Honorable Minister when he went on air about 2-3 weeks ago, screaming blood and screaming lives of Nigerians being protected, when raising emotional issues when we had nothing like that in the airspace. But let me make it very clear that we have done well with certification. It is not coordinated or handled by the international who come over to the country, look at all the security aspects of and tick the box that if you have met it, and if you have met it and they are certified and can give us those certification, then all we need to do is how to retain, sustain, or build on it. But on the topic today, I totally agree with the government that there's a need to improve facilitation at the airport. There's a need to reduce the number of security checkpoints at the airport. So, can we start counting? The DSS, the customs, immigration, foreign security, the Nigerian Air Force, then you have the airline security itself, then others. You have the NDLEA, you have the quarantine, you have agriculture, you have EFCC. Then at times you even see the National Civil Defense Corps and the gate too. So there's so many of them, and there's a need to work on it.
Yeah, so listing some of those agencies, so almost all the agencies, just like you said, customs, NDLEA, quarantine, agriculture, we now have the EFCC, just as you said. But how sacrosanct do you consider their jobs at the airport?
Well, for me, I don't see what the civil defense is doing there. I don't know why you have a quarantine and you have a Greek, when one of them could handle that. And then, like I said earlier on, before, though you were not listening, it wasn't clear. Group captain, the technology has taken over all this. What people see in most international airports is just the immigration personnel. It's the camera, the scanners that will do the rest of the job. It's when there are issues from those cameras, then you see the other agencies who are involved now stepping out to say, let's take this baggage, let's see this person. But the only person you see now is immigration. And in some airports, you don't even see immigration again. It's the bioscanner that you see and handles the whole process. We haven't got to that stage. What we have now is just the scanners and the machines. And I think what we need is get like you said in the beginning, and then get behind those cameras, get behind improved technology, and that helps improve facilitation and improves travel and generates more revenue for the country.
Right. And what role, did the roundtable play in all of this in terms of engagement with government as to the risks? Because for government, they perhaps all these agencies came on board as a result of a need to curb and tackle security threats. But from your angle as an observer, as an airport user, as a stakeholder under the roundtable, what was the level, or what's the level of engagement with governments to see this through, especially when you compare with what obtained previously and now, in your desire to see that this time around it is consistent?
Well, what I will tell you that at the Aviation Roundtable, Safety Roundtable Initiative, we are an NGO in the industry that propagates safety and profitability operation of the airlines. Now, we have had 2 or 3 BBMs, that the Business Breakfast Meeting, involving facilitation and security at the airport. We made a recommendation, and the communique was sent to all government agencies. In the past, if you could remember, there was this long dash table that's always at the counter of each airline. And on that dash table, we had all the agencies bringing out passengers' baggage, opening it up and searching it publicly with their hands. This was what all the things we fought for, and at the end of the day, later on, that table was closed, and you see this. Though the table is still available, but not in the open anymore. It's placed at the side of the hall, whereby some passengers are asked to come in with their bag, put on the table just before they go to the check-in counter. Now we don't even want that table anywhere around the airport. It's not. It's old trend. It's not modern. It's not a way of getting accurate facilitation. Rather, it's encouraging bribery, is encouraging what we get for weekend. That's what that table is, and we don't want that table to stop all this. How is your family? How are your kids? Greetings. For us, the process must continue, and I'm happy the media is taking it up now, joining the NGO, that's the ART, and other groups, even including them the FAAN. And I need to commend her that she has taken this issue up by going straight to the National Security Advisor to see how they can mitigate the multiple security checkpoints. And I just hope the presidency will keep, because we need the presidency, because some of these agency heads might not listen to the National Security Advisor. That's why we need the presidency to lead this process to the National Security Council and not the National Security Advisor's Office.
All right, let's go to Group Captain. I think you're actually back, because we're struggling to get your first salvo on this matter. You were saying something particularly on how we can enhance the security architecture at the airport. What exactly is your position on this matter?
Let me first of all confirm that you are hearing me well now.
Absolutely.
Very well.
Fantastic.
This is much better.
Oh, beautiful. I think I will be in line. I'm in support with most of the things that Unwa you're saying. But the danger in what is happening now has been happening in this administration, and that is what I call interference with the functions of the responsible agency. There is nothing wrong in reducing the number of those that are working in the security agency in the defense line of aviation security in the airport. What is wrong is people that are not directly connected with civil aviation. FAAN is the responsible agency in the airport to coordinate this agency as given to it by the NSA, which is the responsible aviation authority. As at the time FAAN was going outside aviation to go and call the NSA, that is where the problem starts from. Is NSA aware of this move by FAAN, which he has given that responsibility? Is he really aware that FAAN has gone out of the sector to go and call NSA? That is where the problem is. And that's where the problem is not likely to be solved. Because in the airport, like I always say, there are about 6 agencies that belong to different ministries in that airport. And most of these ministries are not even under the direct supervision of the NSA. So all they needed to do, which we have recommended several times, is for them to set up a unified aviation security for airport, which is going to be controlled by just one agency. And that is the job for the NCAA. Unfortunately, most of the people that we bring into aviation from outside are political office holders who have little or no knowledge about civil aviation and its security, how it works. And it will continue. The NSA cannot take that decision. Even if it goes to the minister to go back to the president will have to call these agencies together and tell, because when we had this meeting in 1991, it was agreed, or it was directed and ordered by the vice president then, Vice Admiral Aikomu. It was agreed. Less than 2 weeks, everybody went back to, the whole thing went back. It has even increased now. I have seen the NCDC, or whatever they call them, I've seen them in the airport. If you go around, you are going to see other people like Federal Safety. You have Federal Safety, you have the police. These are part of the problems we are creating for ourselves. Let NCA sit down with FAAN, take a decision, and let NCA carry this function back to the ministry. And let the ministry take it to the Federal Executive Council. From the Federal Executive Council to the National Security Council. Everything you are doing now, you are not getting the National Security Council to know about it. And most of the people that are in the airport, they belong to different ministries, including some members of the Security Council. The NSA is only an advisor. All this you are saying now, you will only carry. Most of the people he's going to talk to have no knowledge of what is happening. Let FAAN carry his problem as the coordinator of security agents assigned to it by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation. Let him carry it back to the NCAA. And from the NCAA through the ministry to the National Security Council. Because there are a lot of agencies that are involved. It is not something that the NSA can take on. It has no problem. It has no business in it.
Okay.
I say it. It has no business. That's the same way the minister is interfering with some of the things. They don't have business. They are taking over the job of the NCA. They're taking over. NCA is the responsible authority as far as civil aviation regulation is concerned. NCA is the responsible agency as far as civil aviation regulation is concerned. And the enforcement of that regulation, it is the NSA. And that's the people that the ICAO is looking up to. When they come here, they don't audit the minister. They don't audit anybody outside the airport. It is the NSA. So we create problems for ourselves, and at the end of the day, we have been having these problems since 1991, like I said, but everybody has created an empire for itself. Yeah. When you talk of government, you say government, government. I say, who is government? It is you and I. When you enter the government, you took over your power, you created an empire around yourself, and you do whatever thing like that. Nobody is stopping you. That is what I have seen that is happening now. Let the NCA be alive to its responsibility as far as civil aviation regulation is concerned, not the NSA and not the minister. I stop here.
Right, and does this also extend to FAAN? Does your position also extend to FAAN?
FAAN is responsible to what I'm saying. If you check the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation properly, FAAN has been designated by that regulation. That regulation is enforced. The oversight is NCAA, not the minister, not NSA. So if he has a problem, he will carry that problem back to the job you gave me. This is the problem. But let me say one thing. Probably that is why the FAAN FD carried it to the NSA. The ICAO regulation said you should have a National Aviation Security Committee. National Aviation Security Committee, not National Civil Aviation Security Committee. You can set it up. Anybody can be. I know the NCA, what do you call it, NSA, is the chairman of that committee that they set it up. But then, even in that committee, he cannot do anything without taking it back to the various agencies that are inside his committee. He cannot listen to FAAN again. He has to listen to NCA. He has to listen to the immigration. He has to listen to the DSS, because these are the people that are in the defense line. He has to listen to people that are responsible to what I call the border security. He must listen to them. He cannot sit down and take that decision alone, because if he does that, the other people will come back. He'll be there. Who is going to drive it? Can he drive it? The answer is no. Except he's taken to the National Security Council meeting, where that decision will be taken. That we have somebody, one person that's in charge, and he can take responsibility on behalf of the government. That is all.
Right.
But all this corner work, it won't work.
Right. Mr. Owayo, let me come to you. Well, you said a little earlier that we just must get this thing right, and we have to do it exactly the way it is done, in developed economies, the way they do it using technology and all of that. But others will argue that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, because here is Nigeria and it has its own peculiarities. There are so many people who are trafficking drugs. There are so many people who are carrying, prohibited items and all of that. So do you feel that, because they will argue that that is the reason why we need that multiple checks by different agencies who are trained in different ways in order to be able to, discover or be able to find out exactly what people are carrying, if they are carrying things that are prohibited, across the airport. What do you make of this kind of argument?
Please don't buy into such arguments. There's nothing like Nigerian aviation. Aviation is universal. Nigeria does not certify itself. You are certified by ICAO, IATA, and other organizations that come, the international organizations who come and check our certification, check our processes and other technological things in place. But it could be said, there's nothing happening in Nigeria that does not happen in somewhere else in the world. Is it in Colombia, in Mexico, Pakistan? They've all had all these issues. But we have been able, like I said earlier on, we have been able to retain a certification. We have been able to sustain it over a period of maybe in the last 10 to 15 years, which is commendable, because it's not that they do this in every 5 years. Every year they come and they don't discuss with the ministry, they don't talk with the minister, they go straight to the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. Thereafter, from there, they begin to talk to the relevant agencies. It's not all Uhuru. We still have some areas that we need to close the gaps. We didn't do well in all areas, but we still have a certification based on that. So I will not subscribe to the peculiarity of Nigeria, passengers of Nigerians, socio-economic issues, for that for us to breach what the norm is. With the number of people traveling, it's important to us. We need to improve that number, and the only way we can improve that number is must improve facilitation. We help to reduce fears and make the aviation more competitive. But on that basis, there's no Nigerian aviation. We must toe the line of other developed countries, and in doing that, we need to harmonize the security organizations in the country into a single body, rather than have these silos where everybody reports to their bosses. Yes, the NSA is chairing that committee, but I think it is better to move to the presidency so that things move faster, and we can as well reawake the executive 0001 order given by the immediate past government.
All right. Olumide Onhuayo, who is the General Secretary of the Aviation Roundtable, we thank you very much for your contributions. We also thank retired Group Captain John Ojukutu, the CEO of Centurion Securities. Thanks a lot for your persistence, especially braving the odds with, the connection. Thank you very much, retired Group Captain Ojukutu. But we've run out of time, and we hope for more engagements with you soon.